Hi, welcome back. It's been a while. Welcome to Wake Up Shift is Happening and the series around the GCR. We're live. This is our first live show and call-in show for the call-in show we haven't done for a month, and doing an ITV show we haven't done since Christmas. And isn't that interesting that today is Easter in the Northern Hemisphere? So it's March 27th there, 2016 in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's March 28th here in the Southern Hemisphere. So happy Easter. And today we have an awesome show. Thank you for your patience. Also, while we've been off the air for the last month, Scott and I have been in the midst of a major relocation in Australia, and it was a lot of work. I'm sure many of you have moved around and you know. Unfortunately, I'm a professional mover, so even this one was a little bit challenging. So we have our awesome studio set up, and I'm going to introduce Scott to you and ask him to go on camera here in just a moment as well. So thank you again for all of your support, your emails, and asking where we're at and where we've been and whatnot. And we're happy to be back, although it might be short-lived for the next couple weeks. We shall see. We're living in the moment. We are being very present with what is happening in the world right now. So before I even get into that any further, I'd like Scott to actually introduce himself and turn the camera on. So you guys, you tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, stand by one sec.
Okay. Now, today's show is why resurrection of the Magdalene divine feminine energy is imperative for the GCR and the Great Shift. You ready to say hi?
Yes. Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. So, I'm Scott Bartle, and thank you for joining us today. Hopefully, we managed to get the technology going as we've shifted location and getting everything reconfigured here. So, it's been a little bit of juggling around, and anyway, we're back on the road, so I'll hand you back over to Deb there.
And I also would just like to acknowledge Scott. I did this in the newsletter as well, for those of you that get the newsletter, that he has done such an amazing job in creating a state-of-the-art with not a lot of funding, a state-of-the-art live stream studio that we now have the capability of doing call-ins, and you guys have a choice now. So if you want to join us on the YouTube channel, which is the YouTube live event, or you can join us on the conference line. And so the access of engagement. So here's some housekeeping before we even get further into the show. One is the website is wakingupwithdeb.com. And if you can access everything from the website. The other thing is for the access for the shows, for this and for the future shows when we do them as a live ITV show, you can be part of the instant message chat in the YouTube live event portion, or you can come on to, I guess I should say, or you can utilize the conference line to call in when we open up the call lines. Now, today we have a special guest, which I'll be introducing in just a little while. Some of you are familiar with her, know her, are aware of her. And but first we're going to talk a bit more about the subject that has been brought forth, especially in the last couple of days. And I also want to let you guys know that we don't usually do much promotion or marketing of our tools. And I keep saying that I'm going to change that, and we haven't really. So we just decided a couple of days ago to offer a special Easter promo for our Master Clearing Your Field and Activation experiential tool. If you're not familiar with what these tools are, and as of right now we only have the one set of tools available, which is the Master Clearing Your Field, or the bundle of Clearing Your Field morning, noon, and then the emergency break class. So, which Scott did as an emergency for, you know, toxic relationships, conversations, experiences, etc. What is important about these experiential tools is that it gives you the verbiage, the commands, the experience of the energy of being in your activated and empowered I am vibration, and it gives you the activation, beginning activations, not only of your I am presence, but also with this unified field. So we have been working very diligently over the last couple of years, and we have had a breakthrough just in the last couple months with this New Earth unified field. We've been able to stabilize it. We are working now in new territory energetically. We're very excited about the things that are being revealed, not only in the microcosm of our life, but also in the macrocosm of the world. So we have an Easter special for the next week, and it's a 33% off just of the Master Clearing Your Field tool and activation. And I just want to let you guys know that it is such a powerful tool. If you're not working with it yet, I really encourage you to, because the testimonials that we get back are really quite profound. People are experiencing changes, oftentimes instantaneously, like within the first 24 hours. The other thing is that we're going to be doing a new one. The one that you'll be receiving, should you choose to engage with it, is from November 2014. And Scott and I, the energy, we've up-leveled, the energies have shifted so much. We're going to do a new one. And anyone that has purchased that tool, like in the last 4 or 5 months, we're just going to gift it to you from the previous purchase. Our intention here is to support humanity to transcend this enslavement matrix, to transcend this control mechanism and the locked down, suspended animation that has come into play at this point, the interference, the infiltration, the charms and the incantations and the ceremonies that have done behind the scenes that have abrogated our free will. Most of us are not even having a relationship right now with our free will, only basically in the construct of this enslavement matrix. So a big part of the intention of our creation and anchoring this unified field, this New Earth unified field, is to create and to manifest this contingency plan for supporting the restoration of humanity. Now, let me just give you the promo code for that before I move on. So the promo code for the Easter special for the 33% off is Easter with a capital E. And Helen, I also want to introduce, is live with us as well. She is there on the conference line, and she's also there on the instant message chat with you guys on YouTube. So I just want to also say, introduce Helen and say thank you for being there, and let you guys know to engage with her. Now, the other thing is that we have had the community, the New Earth community. We paused the membership for the last, I think, 6 weeks because we had such a huge influx of people, and we didn't have our system really set as much as we really wanted to. Today, we just are opening up that membership again. One of the things that I want to be very clear about this New Earth community membership, or the New Earth community itself, is that this is not a if you're thinking about engaging with us in the community, then I want you to be really clear that this is not not like just a chat forum, that it is there's a very precise intention for what this community is for the new earth, that we are building a pattern of energy as the foundation that involves very clear integrity, love, vulnerability, trust, honoring, and communication that is empowering. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So, and your engagement in that community is what is building this unified field. So it's important for you to understand that if you do think that you resonate with coming and being a part of that, the engagement part is what you are contributing to build this new earth reality, this unified field for this new earth. So I want to say thank you to both Scott and Helen, because we've all worked very diligently to get that membership up and going. And one of the most important aspects of it before you even become a member is the signing off, the understanding and signing off on the integrity and confidentiality agreement that is an intricate part of us building and rebuilding a reality that is based in integrity and honoring our word. And so my guest today and I are going to be talking about that because of the importance of the impeccability of your word. Now, is there any more housekeeping? Scott, is there anything more?
The only thing I was going to say was we might be able to hear from Helen if she speaks up there. I think we've got her unmuted, so if Helen's available to say hi.
Oh, that would be awesome. I think we didn't give her a heads up about it.
No, so I have kind of dropped her on the spot there, but yeah. I'll leave it open and see if she chimes in. Otherwise, I'm all good.
All right, very good. So let me just look at my list. Okay, I think it's good. We're good. Okay, so let's get into the show here. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to be very present, this is experiential transformational media.
Hi there. Sorry.
There she is.
Two microphones out thinking. Hi, how are you all?
That's Helen. Hi, Helen.
Hi there, Deb and Scott, and just welcome to everybody on the call today. I'm thrilled to be here and looking forward to a lively show as always. All right, back on mute. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We put you on the spot a little bit. Okay, so back to the being present. This is experiential transformational media. We are really anchoring this as a genre of media. And for those of you that know my background, there's a couple different things that come into play at this point. One is my background as a producer in the entertainment industry for almost 2 decades. And then the other aspect is becoming telepathic. Actually not becoming, having that aspect of what is supposed to be normal for all of us being opened up like a tin can quite a long time ago, and having the veil pulled back where I was started in 2010, actually 2009, really getting significant information and details that began a strategy, a multidimensional strategy with the Ascended Masters and the Company of Heaven, the Angelic Realm, and the other Galactic Federation, the beings of light that are really, really wanting for humanity to move from the place of deprivation, lack, limitation, and the place that we've been in, this really dark space that we've been in for quite some time, in order to come into alignment with the rest of the universal beings of light, and those that refer to, many people refer to that as like the galactics and whatnot. And so You probably have heard me talk about my communications with Saint Germain and Ashtar, JFK. Many of you know that I'm in communication. He is part of the contingency plan and the strategy that we're working with, and there's others. And I rarely in public have done any channeling, and I'm not going to probably do that today. But I will tell you that in the last 48, 72 hours, that Mary Magdalene has stepped forward and has been providing me with a lot of details and communication, along with Yeshua. And that I ended up changing the name and the title of the show based on those communications. That's why today's show is being referenced as the resurrection of the Magdalene divine feminine energy is imperative for the GCR and post GCR, as well as the Great Shift. So what I just want to put forth before I do an introduction of our guest here, is I want a presence, and I'm asking you to be very present and cognizant with the information that's coming forth. And if you're not driving, that you go ahead and get comfortable, and that you even close your eyes if you choose, and take a couple of deep breaths. And presence in your heart, your true, the essence of who you are as a being of light at the soul and the core level. And that you even presence your heart's desire, not only for yourself at this time on the planet, but even for the betterment of humanity, and even as it might pertain to the resurrection of light, love, and even the creation energies for us here on the planet. And that as you open your heart, and I also want to preface one thing, is that everything that is brought forth, I'm asking you to engage with your relationship with your free will. And if anything doesn't feel right, if anything doesn't sound right, I want you to engage with your free will, and even just right now call in your higher self, and to call forth and invoke that everything that you are to hear and to engage with is in your highest divine good and highest divine truth. And if you're not living your life every day invoking that at the very least, then I'm going to encourage you to start. Because one of the challenges that we're in at this time is that we've lost our relationship with the sacredness of our spirituality, and not even just lost it, but it's kind of been hijacked in many ways. And I'm going to encourage you to also regain that relationship with your free will. And that goes in communications, relationships, and your choices that you're making. Now, as you presence in your heart the true essence of yourself, as well as the divine being of light that you are, that the message in regards to the divine feminine that I am being asked to bring into and to weave into the entire context of this show is that there has been a very effective dismantling of the divine feminine on this planet. And it has been, it's part of the designed assault against humanity's awakening. The reason, I'm going to give you the reason, one of the main reasons that has been given to me recently. And it has to do with the energy and the essence of the divine feminine. The Magdalene divine feminine is that it is the spark, it is the ignition of creation, that it is the co-creating energy with the divine masculine, the Christ consciousness, that is here and available to us as God beings of light to create. And that with the dismantling of not only the gender of the feminine, but the divine feminine, even in the men, is what is a major out of balance, and that imbalance is one of the ways that the controllers of this enslavement matrix have been able to keep us in control. Without that balance, we cannot create, we cannot ignite the divine blueprint that we are meant to ignite and to expand our consciousness and our abilities to align with ourselves as ascended masters, as ascended beings of light. So we have our work cut out for us. And so Mary has asked me to, and Yeshua as well, has asked me to presence this. To presence, many people don't really even have a relationship with the divine feminine. So I just want to have you presence, even the men, that the divine feminine aspect of life has to do with love, nurturing, unifying not only the family, but unifying the groups, the soul groups, and unifying the world. So if you think about this designed assault against humanity, what would they need to do to keep us from unifying? One of the things that they would need to do is create separation. And when the divine feminine is not intact, that is one of the things that has been occurring. Now, there's, of course, all sorts of other things that have been occurring to keep that separation going, which we don't need to get into at this time. Many of you are aware of them. What's important today on this celebration of Easter and the resurrection of the Christ consciousness is that we really presence the resurrection of the Magdalene divine feminine, and that this ignites here in this timeline 133 as we move forward. And this is what my guest and I are going to be talking a lot about today. As we move forward past this GCR and move into the shift of the ages, that we call into presence this divine feminine that is steeped in the Christ consciousness, and that even the dudes, you guys, that you engage the divine feminine, your emotional body, your love, and even your protector program, protector of the divine feminine, so that we can swing that pendulum back and get back into balance, so that we can really shift our planet forward and come into alignment with the rest of the universe that is waiting for us and cheering for us to move into that vibration. Okay, so I'm going to just leave it at that, and thank you for being present. There's energy that's coming through this communication, and now I'd like to introduce my guest. And she is coming to you guys. I believe this is the first media presentation she's done ever. And I was even surprised when she said she wanted to and would do this. She's going by Cardin. Many of you know her from some of the different boards of the GCR and over the last couple of years. And she's been involved with this for quite some time. And she's also been involved, her background has been in project funding and global, actually different, all around the world. She's been involved with different things with project funding, all based in for humanitarian and the betterment of humanity. So at this time, I'd like to introduce you to Cardin.
Hey there, Deb. Thank you so much. Call me Cynthia.
Okay.
I know you want to.
Okay. So do we want to give a little background on that right there even?
Sure. Let's talk about that. When you say I've been involved in project funding, I've been involved in multi-million-dollar projects all over the world. When you talk about multi-million-dollar projects, you're talking about UN qualified humanitarian projects funded with the global collateral accounts. I've been in working in projects in Dubai, India, South Africa, UK, US, Mexico, and China. I've lived in the US and China.
Fabulous.
I have a background. In financial world and marketing, and I have a background in the banking and finance.
Okay. Now, one of the things I want to jump back to is the very beginning of what you just said, and we switched from calling you Cardin to Cynthia. So I actually want to give the audience a little bit of background, talking about backgrounds, in that, because you just surprised me.
Okay.
Cardin,
all right.
You've gone by the avatar or the handle name Cardin for years, correct?
Right. For
Okay.
years, yeah.
And
well, let me give you the background about that. I went by Cynthia, but I was on the stage 3. I didn't jump into this until a girlfriend of mine said, "Hey, you need to buy some VND." And this is a girlfriend of mine who has no understanding of the world that I've been involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of laughed and I said, "What? What do you know about VND?" And so I had no intention of owning VND. I didn't have to. I've been involved in a much different world, which is not the prosperity packages, but the very platforms that are creating the prosperity packages. And when she said that to me, it was quite interesting. At that point, I decided to do some research, and I was introduced to the Stage 3 Alpha, S3 Alpha with Exogen. And when I got on his side, I just kind of entered a few replies to people chatting, and he invited me to be a moderator on his site. And I was a moderator on his site for a while, and I was on radio shows with him on his site for a while. But I kind of dropped out of that. It got a little crazy there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the one who told me to go by Cardin. He said, "Don't put your real name out there. Don't be foolish." And I thought, okay, I'll do that. So, yeah.
All right. Now, what's interesting is I've been calling Cynthia for almost the entire time I've known you. And it was also, I got the guidance to call you Cynthia because it further anchored your divine feminine energy. And so, yeah. All right. So, in any case, the instead of going by Cardin, you've just now made a decision to put your real name out there. And, one of the things that we have talked about, we're going to get into this in this show, is in regards to having the discernment as life is about to change for all of us. So having that discernment of what you actually put out there to the public versus now what you keep back, as you're now moving into more of a private sector of the community, of humanity. So before we even get into that, Cynthia, why don't we just put it out there, what you are comfortable sharing with in regards to the GCR at this time?
Well, basically, how did I become a moderator on Stage 3? The reason that I did that is because I didn't have much to do at the time. I've been on a wait mode for funding to occur. Yeah. I'm one of the people that are waiting for the platform that I was involved in to fund, and the money's been held up. It's been held up.
And that's been since when?
I'm just not interested in doing anything else until this clears and I'm a part of the clearing process.
Yep. And
so I had time. I was interested. I thought, let's educate everybody. Let's bring everybody into this and understand. And I was interested to share with as many people as I could. And it was kind of like my girlfriend did to me. I was so tickled. I hope she's listening to this call when she said, "You got to buy some VND." And I said, what do you know? Because literally I was one of the people that was approached by Madame Wu in China. Okay. I go way back.
Wow.
Okay.
I
have involved in the currency exchange process since 2010, 2009.
Okay. Now, in regards to the platform that you're waiting for funding, let's talk about just mention how far back that goes and the lack of funding that's available at this point.
Well, the account's been frozen. We've actually gone through court on it. It's been frozen for quite a few years. It's being handled. I'd rather not go into much.
Okay,
about that.
that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, what you guys in the audience can get the gist of at this point is that Cynthia's been in and around this and involved in a way that I don't think a lot of people actually get the access level that Cynthia that you've had. So that's
I've suffered with the big dogs. That's right. I paid my dues. My dues are paid big time. And,
over and over.
I love what you're talking about, bringing in the divine feminine, because that is open to receive.
Yes.
Let's receive. Let's get ready for receiving. It's time to stop the blockage. The blockage has been gone for quite a while, and now we are literally in the receive mode. I'm in the receive mode.
Yep. Okay, so where are we today as far as the GCR? What are you comfortable bringing forth before we move into the subject of post-GCR?
Well, here's what I'm comfortable telling you. Accounts that have been on hold are released. That means money's moving. There's no way that any holds could be lifted if the TRNs were not global. There is no way that we're in a point where we've never been before. And I've started every day thinking today is the day. Today's the day.
Right.
Well, today's the day. I don't stay awake. I don't stand guard, stand duty, as a friend of mine would say. Are you standing duty tonight? Nope, I'm not. I sleep these nights. I don't stay up all night waiting for that midnight, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock nonsense anymore. I'm not up at the crack of dawn looking to see, did I have RV? Because I know that the bank will wait for me.
Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, no, we're at a place where we've never been before. Monies are released, monies are moving, people have spendable cash. There's no longer the block that there was. The China, it's called the China Infrastructure Investment Processing System that is involved with replacing the SWIFT is working. Hallelujah.
Is that
SWIFT has to be legal. It's funny, when I was in China, I had SWIFTs being sent to me, and I was working with a gentleman who was formerly with Treasury, PhD, who had great relationships, and I was receiving SWIFT there in China into my account that was a retail account out of not in the main system. I started out with a couple 100,000, not $1 million. You can't do that. I didn't know. He said, you'll be fine. I was not fine. The system was not set up to allow just anybody to be a part of the global collateral accounts. And now the system is legal. And now there are many qualified people that are working that within the system legally. The senders, the owners of the cash are able to send the cash legally, quickly, within seconds.
Okay.
That has never been the case.
And you're
today is the case.
Are you talking about SIPs?
That's right, China Infrastructure Investment Processing System.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me just let's just kind of wrap this part up so that people understand where we're at right now. The GCR, when I did the last show a month ago, I believe it was February 22nd, and I'm pretty sure that one was like a 15-minute. I was between flights, and so I did like a 15-minute catch-up, and basically I let you guys know that I had been given the guidance that it was all moving forward, and then what I didn't put out, other than in the community, the New Earth community, I was given the dates, a window of the 13th of March to the 31st of March. Now, Cynthia, you knew those dates. A few in the community knew those dates, and so one of the reasons and how it was revealed to me is we're activating timeline 133, and this is the timeline that's for the betterment of humanity. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. You take it however you want. I have certainly no attachment to how people take this, but I do know that this is just the beginning of me being able to share with you in the coming future details about different events. So the dates, if you look at March 13th through the 31st, both of those dates encompass 133 in them. So I'm just going to put that out there. Like I said, I have no attachment. Take it as you may. And the other thing that I'll tell you, and we'll just wrap this up here, is that Scott and I, after the show today, are going to be packing our bags and having our bag at the door, ready for our fast exit strategy from Australia back to the States. So that might give you an indication of how we're feeling about things.
Yeah.
So Cynthia, let's talk about, do you feel like you're ready to, are you complete with the GCR and where we're at presently?
Well, let me just say, your bags are packed in by the door. I'm waiting for a phone call.
Yep. Okay.
So, yeah.
Enough said, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
Right.
keep holding the field. Keep bringing forth your heart's desires, and keep focusing on that betterment of humanity, timeline 133, stabilizing, stabilizing, stabilizing. It's happening. So what Cynthia and I are going to be talking about at this time is post-GCR. Now, if you guys did go to the page that has the information on the show, which always, by the way, when we do a show, there's a post, there's a page that has the details as far as how to engage. It has the highlights, the bullet points of what is going to be talked about. So, Cynthia, here we are ready to talk about post-GCR. And one of the things, so let me just go through the list. Family dynamics. How are you going to handle the possibility of stress and anxiety of this new life? What is your level of integrity? Because actually, Cynthia, you have an NDA that you're going to read at least a portion of. Is that correct?
Yeah. Deb, I can go and try and find that. I had to use a different laptop to get on with the video, and I've got an NDA that is not for the currency, but I mean, I could read that.
Okay.
That's here on my cell. But I was looking through a different computer. I've got 3 computers I'm trying to manage with.
No worries.
And I wasn't able to find the currency NDA.
Okay. Now, the reason that we're doing this is because we want to really presence that you're about to enter into a pretty intense agreement. And I'm going to say intense because what my experience has been is that many of us think that we're good people. We're honorable, and I will just tell you based on my experience. Now, this is not with judgment, but I have experienced where people believe that they are honorable, and when it really comes down to it, that they don't really have a relationship with the impeccability of integrity, being impeccable with their word. And we are modeling a new way of life on this planet that kind of many of us have assumed has been the case, but really we're steeped in deception. And then we've created coping mechanisms. And then the other thing that my guides actually just said to me about a month ago in one of the communications was what we're seeing is that people are rationalizing their behavior and if they want to ascend, they want disclosure, but they're not living impeccable even in just the normal mundane aspect of life. So what Cynthia and I are going to be talking about is this NDA and even the family dynamics of post-GCR. So Cynthia, what are your concerns for people to now be proactive and engage in this conversation about ahead of it happening potentially in their life?
Well, we've had lots of conversations with people that have not been involved with these sums of money. They've never seen an account with more than hundreds of thousands. If they have hundreds of thousands in their account, it's shocking. Yeah. Imagine having millions and hundreds of millions and even billions all of a sudden. That's a shocking, traumatic, stressful experience. How do I handle that? My concern is how do you sleep through that? How do you I heard someone on the phone say, come to an exchange with a gun. My gosh, you can't do that. You'll lose everything if you do that. Don't show up at the exchange carrying. I don't care if it is legal. You cannot do it. Don't do it. It's not legal. Don't do it. There's going to be security everywhere. There will be. I know some security people personally. You're completely protected. There's no problem with that. The issue is that post-exchange, there's going to be some concerns just because of ignorance in the system, not understanding how the system will work, and also it's having an experience of being violated, being having a history of abuse, possibly knowing family members that have been abused through violence. We got to set that aside and put that behind us. We've got to sleep through this. We've got to feel confident with this exchange that everything's going to be fine. We'll be protected. I've known people that have had accounts like this. Mm-hmm. I've known individuals who are normal as you and me. You wouldn't know it. Trillions of dollars in their account. It doesn't matter. There's no difference.
Okay, so let's talk about family dynamics. You actually brought up a very good point when we were talking a few days ago in regards to one aspect is how many of you are in a relationship, in a marriage, that have not actually either told your spouse about this investment, or your partner hasn't necessarily been very into it or believing of it. Supportive, exactly. So how are you going to handle, now that it comes into fruition, how are you going to handle that relationship? And so Cynthia, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we all have family members. I have a spouse myself who doesn't like to talk about these things. He's very kind. He's very okay, but he does not want to talk about it. And when he sees the checkbook and sees what's happened and has any discussion about it whatsoever, my discussion was, if I bought a house and you didn't see it, would you hate me? Right. I have that kind of discussion.
Right.
I've already got the house picked out. I already know what I'm going to do.
Right.
Believe me, I'm going to do it. But he's never going to see it. It's going to be done. Is that possible? It is.
So
I've set the ground rule. Will you hate me? No, but don't spend all your money. That's what he said. Don't spend all your money. I'm not going to spend all my money. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
But the stress that I'll have to deal with him, and how to explain to his family, to my family, about why we've moved to this beautiful big house that's 3 times the size and acreage and so forth, that we would never have even looked at before.
Right.
We're in a nice house now. I live a pretty nice life. I'm not I'm well cared for.
Right.
But it's not the same thing. We're
Right.
talking about a car garage, acreage. Listen, what the heck?
Absolutely.
That's possible. I'd like to do it. Why not?
Exactly. Right. And okay, so
I love that idea.
All right, so now
I have to explain it.
And what?
And I'll have to explain it.
Right. Well, and so here's a couple things. One is so many people have been living in, and I'm not going to say us because Scott and I are doing, quite well. He's working full time, so same, but it is about, and it's all about to change. So many people have been living in fear and survival, and we both have been there in years prior. I mean, like, in the States, we have the 99-cent store and, the dollar store. And there was a time that I was actually shopping for food there. So I know that, that situation. So how do you go from being in, there's coping mechanisms that many have created from being in that fear, in that survival, in that lack mode. How do you deal with that? Let's just staying on the topic of the family dynamics. When you've got family members, and Cynthia, you brought up the word, something very important the other day about entitlement. How are you going to handle it when you've got family members who have not known anything about this and you all of a sudden are a multimillionaire and you have family members that have this entitlement? So, Cynthia, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are that we'll have to explain how this has come about and what we're allowed to do. We've got to understand with our spouse, we have to have a coherence. There has to be, and we talked about this, the energy. The energy has to be flowing and comfortable, and there's going to be an adjustment period that we've got to go through, and we've got to allow that adjustment period to happen. I mean, I'm talking about, 6 months adjustment period, getting used to working within the new life that we find ourselves in.
Right.
And I think there's going to be a lot of shifts in that 6 months. Comfort levels have to come about, and I'm a big fan of smile and not say anything. Somebody says, "Oh, you did. How did you do this?" I said, "Oh, I was working for a long time on a project that paid off, and I've received commissions that I'm now enjoying, or I've got a new job. And it's really wonderful. And this was part of the perks. I got a mortgage for the property.
Right.
I'm enjoying it. I'm going to come up with some good stories, but I'm not going to go into I've exchanged currency. I'm not going to. It doesn't make sense.
No.
I can't explain it. And everyone that's in my family have heard me talk about buy currency.
Yep.
Buy currency. They've heard me, and they didn't listen. They didn't pay attention. So, that's about what we have to do. If they didn't pay attention, I'm not even gonna mention it, because the topic came and went. They didn't have the ears to hear.
Right.
They didn't have the mind to grasp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the heart to be open. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, if I can jump in there. You've literally got people who have this high level of disbelief, and I suppose quite understandably, because we've been being told that this is going to happen for ever and a day now, and there is a certain amount of disbelief amongst that. And then there's those folk who have stuck to it, believed in it, kept it going, working behind the scenes to make it happen. And there's that, particularly even within that family dynamic, people who are going to be left basically caught with their pants down and going, "But you didn't tell me, but what about this, but," and have all of these kind of scenarios come up. And yet that's the kind of thing that we're talking about how to manage and deal with.
So even just to add to that, for those of you just that have maybe not presence this or have thought about it and aren't exactly sure how you're going to deal with it. It's important to be aware that, money is one of the instruments that is one of the most divisive instruments that we have right now on the planet. And so, not that we want to project this into the reality, but it's important to actually engage with the possibility and the conversations now ahead of time and get some grounding in regards to how you're going to handle it. The other thing too, and we're going to circle back regarding the NDA as well, the other thing too is for you to understand that this the normal entitlement that people feel within a family structure or unit, it really cannot come into play, or I shouldn't say it can't come into play. You have a choice to exercise how that's going to play out in your family, in your situation. And that it's important that you continue to remain in the vibration of love and integrity, and also in the stewardship of what this money is here for you to engage with, and even the unification for humanity. That you as a steward, if you are not holding your own in your own empowered vibration, you may end up having some challenges of people bullying you or trying to coerce you or manipulate or whatnot. Cynthia, do you want to add to that part of the conversation?
Blessed Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin says, I deserve.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve.
Yep.
I deserve. I'm not going to go into any challenge with an energy that is pushing, that is defending, that is saying, why did you, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do it. There will not be discussion about that. Kuan Yin is there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so is the blessed energy of all the sacrifices that I've made, that have been made on my behalf, that have been made by the world.
Yes.
By the world for us here, to be here at this time. I'll share a story if you like.
Yes.
Okay. I had a precious friend in China who told me that when he was a child, he's my age, he's early 60s. When he was a child, his family were part of the communist takeover when Japan attacked China. His mother and father were well-educated people. They had a good lifestyle. They had wonderful home life. All of a sudden, she became the town mayor, and he became a general in the army, the communist army. He was not communist. They were not communist. She was the town mayor. They both became very communist because they had to, because that was all they could do. It was a big shock to him. But what surprised me was he told me that his mother opened their house to people every night and had those that were homeless come in and share their table. They shared their food. And his mother told him when he didn't want to eat the food that she made because it was simple fare, it was nothing that he'd been used to. They had wonderful food before, and now he had to share the nasty food that they had with everybody, and he was a young boy. But what he said is that she made him clean his plate and be strong and learn to share. Because, and here's the punchline, someday he would have to help those in America. Someday he would have to get strong and support and help those in North America. And the gift that they gave, that those precious people in China have given us, the gift that they have known about for 60 years or 50 years was to me like, wow, it was amazing to know that. So the payment has been made. The sacrifices have been made. Now we are in the deserving stage, and now we have to feel that energy of I deserve, that energy of it's all right.
And I'm open to receiving.
and I'm open to receiving. Thank you, Kuan Yin. And I don't have to explain it. To those that don't understand, that we're not here to hear with the ears to hear, that did not hear me when I said for years, well, look here, look what I did. This funny money. Go online here. Buy yourself some Zim. Go to the bank. I went to Chase Bank, $50. I got 1 million VND. Oh my God, you're foolish. That money isn't worth anything. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
I didn't argue about it. I'm not defending now, and I'm not going to defend later. And I will just move on and accept that there will be those that will be in shock that I have to explain to him. For instance, my spouse. That's okay. I'm prepared for that, and he's prepared for that, because truly, you cannot have expectation forever and not believe that, well, she's got me right. A clock's right once every 12 hours, right?
Right. Okay, so we're going to take a break here for just a moment, just a quick break. And so if you guys who are live can go to the bathroom or get some water if you want. And when we come back, we're going to talk about this NDA and about integrity.
Thanks, Deb. I've been cooking dinner, and I'll go downstairs and have a look again.
You're going to say that again?
I'll go downstairs and see if I can find that NDA again on my other computer.
Okay. Whatever is comfortable for you. Do you have the one that's available?
I do. Yeah.
Okay,
I do.
cool.
Let me say I we'll talk all about that. I have a lot of understanding into what's going on with that.
Okay. So we'll be right back, and we're going to get into the NDA.
Hi, I'm Scott Bartle. You know what it feels like after you've just got off the phone having had a really toxic conversation? Or that feeling where you're sitting in traffic and you can feel your frustration levels rising? Or even the dreams that you might have after watching a really violent movie? These are just ordinary events that we're all quite familiar with. But what happens when we start talking about energies and entities that are getting into our fields and causing havoc? How do we identify these, and how do we get rid of them? You can clear these energies and entities out of your own field. There's no need to have someone else do it for you. Check out clearyourfield.com to see some of the clearing tools available to help you on your way to mastering clearing your own field.
All right, we're back, and you are tuning in to Wake Up Shift is Happening. This is the series around the GCR and the Great Shift. And our guest today is Cynthia. And we are here for the Northern Hemisphere. It is Easter. And we are holding the space for the resurrection of the Magdalene divine feminine energy, especially as it pertains to the GCR and the Great Shift, and swinging that pendulum back for the divine feminine to become back into balance with the masculine, and not only just the masculine, but the divine masculine. And we're also holding the space for Christ consciousness and for the creation energies to become visible to us again as beings of light, as creator God beings of light. Now, Cynthia, do you want to take your own break and look for that NDA?
Oh, that's okay. I'll just talk about this one. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Before we move on to the NDA, one of the other subjects that I actually wanted to get into, got the guidance to get into today, in regards to post GCR and even where you might be emotionally, is that if you are waiting for this money to fulfill your beingness as far as, well, let me back up just a tad. One of the guidance, the elements of communication that came in just a few days ago, is that we're going to look back. You remember, Cynthia, do you remember years ago when people referred to this this was like a couple decades ago, that it was like the me generation moving into the we generation. Do you remember that at all?
Not really. No.
Okay. That's fine. It was kind of in and around the spiritual things that I was involved with back 15, 20 years ago, low house movement, etc., is that we were living in a very me generation, but moving into the we generation. Well, the communication I got a few days ago is that we're going to look back in short order, and we're going to refer to this as the lack generation. And what came through was, it's not only just lack of money, but also lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, lack of self-love,
lack of allowing.
Lack of allowing.
Lack of allowing.
Exactly. Lack of integrity. Allowing is huge. You're spot on, Cynthia. And so then the next part of the communication, and what I just want to presence here is, if you are experiencing lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, lack of integrity, if you are thinking that you're going to change all of that post GCR, that I want to presence, and I'm going to ask you again just to be very present with what is being said, that if you think that that will all change once you have money in your bank account, and what Cynthia is referencing is more zeros than you've ever probably seen in a bank account, that if you think that is going to change just based on the amount of money that you have in your bank account, that's not truly having self-worth, self-esteem, based in the glory of God and the beingness of the essence of I am love. It's basically ego. It's basically the based in the essence of money. And what we are going to be looking back to in identifying is that we've been living in this generation of lack, where most people, and I'm not saying you listening to this show or engaging with this show, most people have been living with the almighty dollar as the sacred part of their life. And that's going to all start to change. It's going to begin to be dismantled. So if you think that your self-esteem and your self-worth and even your self-love is going to change based on having dollars in your bank account, then I'm being asked to ask you to just be present with and to have the awareness that that's a facade based in the almighty dollar and not the true essence of God. Cynthia, do you want to add to that? Scott, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to jump in and add to that one. Briefly, when you think of that, you talk about self-esteem. The change needs to come from self.
Yes.
If the change has come from something external, then you've got a change that is external to yourself and basically either forcing itself upon you in terms of trying to change something, or it's just an external change that hasn't actually affected how you were originally.
Your beingness.
Exactly.
Cynthia, do you want to jump in?
I do. I want to take this from this direction. Again, the Kuan Yin beautiful energy that we are allowing in this world is one of supporting the good in everybody. There are a few people, 1% of the population, that understand what's going on. The rest will be lifted. They will be educated. They will understand what has taken place, the sacrifice, the great, great sacrifices that have been given. They will understand eventually as the education takes place, the validation takes place, as the really it's education. Education is prepared and ready to launch. When we have that, everyone will be helped. In the meantime, The Kuan Yin energy is to support and lift and love and adore the shy, the shock, love and uplift and appreciate the generous heart that says, well, are you sure it's okay? Are you sure it's okay? Yes. It's okay. It's okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Absolutely. And
that's where we are right now.
Well, and when you say, "Oh, are you sure it's okay?" I have a feeling what you're actually referencing is how hesitant people have become in receiving.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Authorities. Fear of authority. Did you do something wrong? Are we gonna have that black SUVs out front of the house?
Yep.
What have you done now?
Yeah, right? What you gotten into now?
What you gotten into now?
Right.
Be all right.
And you actually said this at the beginning of your part of your conversation, Cynthia, about receiving. The divine feminine energy is all about the receiving. When you get into the dynamics of the feminine and the masculine and that aspect of ourselves, it's not just about the gender. The divine feminine energy is about receiving, about being the incubator for receiving, the chalice. And even in us as an individual, when we don't have that divine feminine intact and in balance with our masculine, the receiving is shut off. And what Cynthia's saying right now is it's basically feeling guilty or even feeling shame about receiving because you don't have a healthy divine feminine energy activated within you.
Hear that, Kuan Yin. Hear that voice. Hear the voice. Yes.
And oops, go ahead. I didn't mean to step on you.
Be calm, be comfortable. It's all okay. It'll be okay. You have all the help in the world.
Yep.
All you have to do is look for it. There is help everywhere. No one will be alone through this. There's nothing to fear. When we have our exchange process, the team that's going to come into play to help you is miraculous. You're going to be so taken care of. My goodness, there's nothing to fear about this. I had my husband with me when I went into the bank. I'll share this with you. My Chase Bank, my banker has currency. The store manager has currency. The bankers have currency. The person that's that's responsible for coordinating the investments in the bank, wealth manager, we'll call him. She's licensed. My banker's licensed too. He has currency. Okay, They all have currency. They've got VND because Chase sells VND. They don't have Zim. Okay, so that I educated them about the Zim.
Of course you did.
But anyway, my husband comes into my Chase Bank with me, and he sat next to my banker, and she starts telling me about how she has a prayer group with her church praying about the release of the VND.
Right.
My husband went, "What?" He left. He goes, "What? A prayer group for VND?" I said, "Yeah, isn't that amazing?"
Exactly. And how many of those groups have been?
He said, "That's pretty good. That's pretty good." So. How many what?
And just imagine how many of those prayer groups and all the different things that people are doing to engage with this reality coming forth and revealing itself. It's been pretty miraculous.
Right, exactly. It's been very miraculous. The exposure, the transparency, the gift. You had asked me if I'd bring Joseph onto this call. And I want to share with you, he's just given me information here. He says, global liquidity tonight, 12:01. Now, that's a wonderful thing. All market trades covered by CIPS, which is, again, China.
Yep.
China Interbank Payment System. China Interbank Payment System.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And that is the gift and what was brought by the family that put this together. So I thank you, Joseph, for sharing that. Thank you.
All right, so that's an exclusive live right here on this show. You heard it first.
Yeah. He's so cute. Anyway,
and you're
that was
right.
very
I
nice.
did ask if, because you have a relationship with Joseph, I did ask if Joseph would come on, and the timing was, I'm going to say the timing. I'm celebrating that the timing was off, shall we say, of why he didn't come on the show today. So
yeah, let's all celebrate the blessing that we have here. We can all celebrate that.
Absolutely.
Soon we are going to be into a position where and what I'd like to talk about is the post-exchange traumatic stress syndrome and get sleep, and how we can recognize the energy. You've got a lot of great people on your site.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a lot of
we just lost you.
Really talented people, Deb, that are sharing and are so capable. You've got a lot of really, really wonderful people that are on your on the Waking Up with Deb site.
Yep.
And I mean, really talented people that understand energy, that feel energy, that can really resonate with what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
The energy of that I gotta that I'm holding it in. I want to release that. I want to release that. I want to be calm. I want to be beautiful. I want Kuan Yin beauty in everybody throughout this whole thing.
Right.
Let it go. Let it feel it. Be calm. Be beautiful. Be grateful. Be joyful. Be so happy. Today is our day of resurrection. Today is our blessed day of rising from emptiness, from nothing, from blank, from death. So
like the phoenix rising out of the ashes.
Exactly. We can all feel that. Thank you, Jesus, for giving us the gifts that we have today with us. Thank you for the blessed saving of all our souls. Thank you.
Well, and this also goes for all, not just, I'm just going to add to, it's thank you to all of the beings of light, all the ascended masters, all the angelic realm that have been holding space for humanity to evolve to this place, and for us to be able to open up the floodgates again for the natural flow. It also has to do with the gold, and the gold having a heart of gold, and that vibration of the essence of the, not just paying it forward, but stewarding this blessing of this release, so that we never go back to what we have just been through. It's like, whew, done with that and moving forward. Now, Cynthia, you just mentioned PETS, which is an acronym that we just playfully came up with a couple of days ago. You want to talk about what that is? Actually presence it?
Post-exchange traumatic stress. That's the fear factor that sets in. I'm going to lose everything. It's impossible. It's not possible. The NDA, what we're talking about with the non-disclosure agreement is a very simple form. The non-disclosure agreement says you will not talk about the amounts, the rates. You will not talk about who's been involved with this. You will not talk about this with anybody other than those that are part of our agreement. If you have a spouse that's going to be on your account, they have to be there with you. Okay? I can tell you that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you exchange, whether you have, if you're in a private exchange, you'll be involved in some kind of an agreement. And all that agreement says is don't share where you are. Don't share who you're talking to. Don't give anybody names. This is not something you can market. You will not take this further. And you will agree that what we've done here stays here. Now, understand there is no clawback, which is tremendous, which means you cannot lose everything you've done. You're going to get a slap on the hand. Don't say anything, and there will be a warning about that. But you're not going to automatically lose everything. That's not the objective here. The objective here is to get feet on the ground, hearts flying with joy.
Yes.
Love and joy and excitement and pleasure and hope. Again,
yes,
screaming throughout every cell. Hope and joy and love. Hope and joy and love. Hope and joy and love. No more lack. No more fear. No more authorities. None of it. So the NDA is just something that says, don't share these rates. You can't go into a contract with somebody and share it. That's it. It's nothing to be concerned about. But you can't share the rates. Your rates are your rates. That bank's rates are their rates. You cannot take what that bank said over to the other. You cannot change your name and share that information online with your buddies, or you lose the opportunity altogether.
Okay. So, do you want to read any of the NDA?
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Okay. The agreement has a date. The agreement has a starting date, and the agreement has an ending date. There is a disclosing party, and there is a receiving party. Okay? Whereas the disclosing party will share with the receiving party proprietary information referred to as confidential information as may be required for the purpose of this, in this instance, the exchange. Okay? The receiving party is receiving for consideration of this disclosing an amount that's spelled out right here. For the purpose of, and that's outlined. So for instance, there will be a discussion of humanitarian project funding on your NDA. Okay? Be prepared to have that depending on the amount of currency we're talking about. Okay? And depending on the type of agreement that you have. So I understand from Bruce Big Call that there are 4 different levels. And to take the highest level, you're going to have more discussion in your NDA, which includes information, questions, about your commitment to the humanitarian project funding. Okay.
And one more thing, you just mentioned Bruce with the Big Call. So if you guys, they did a great job. Bruce, Sue, Kent, and Yosef. I'll be honest with you, that's the first time I've listened to that in a long time. But they did 100 questions. They did rapid fire. They did a great job. It was mostly pertaining to the exchange. So if you guys want to go back and catch that, I'm sure you can find it on Dinar Recaps and take a listen to it. Okay, Cynthia?
Okay. It just says all such information is hereinafter expressly. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read from my cell phone. All such information.
As you're reading that, I just also want to presence that many of you may not have ever signed an NDA, and it's important that you take it seriously. Now, I'm familiar with NDAs because in the entertainment industry, we have a lot of NDAs circling around because of intellectual properties and scripts and projects and things like that. It's important that you understand. I just want to presence one thing while Cynthia's reading, getting her bearings with that document, is that be very cognizant. And I'm just going to say this from my experience, even in Hollywood, when we'd go out to lunch and we'd have a meeting, a lunch meeting, dinner meeting, whatever. You're surrounded by people and you often don't even know who's around you in that restaurant. Just be cognizant and present about what you're talking about, because you just never know who's listening. And it's just wise. I think it's just wise to have that kind of discernment for anything, and just to be present and be aware of the company and the company that you don't even know that you have around you. If you get loose with your loose lips when you have a few cocktails and you go out at a restaurant, or you're out at a pub or a bar or whatever, and you have a few cocktails, and these are the times where you could slip up, and just be very present about what's happening with what you're now living a different type of life. And what Cynthia was also talking about earlier in the show in regards to the type of the banking and the way that you will deal with your banking and all the different things and the perks that are available to us. Many of us are moving into a lifestyle and a way of living. We're being where the door is now open to a way of living and being. Cynthia, you were saying to me the other day, your banker taking you to lunch, and moving into that type of a lifestyle where most of us haven't had that access.
I've heard so many people say, I'm going to get a new email. I'm going to drop out. Nobody's going to know who I am or where I am. Well, that's not possible, especially not if you want to have a relationship with the people that you've been involved in.
Or if you want to do humanitarian projects, right? How do you drop out?
Exactly. What I said is, exactly, you drop in. What I said is that everything's going to be protected. You'll be completely protected. There's no way anybody's going to get any access to your money. You will have lunch with your banker. You're not going to be able to go online and access your funds like you do with your account now. It's not the same thing. You'll have a key. You'll have a special key access. Nobody can get into your account. Your banker will travel to you with the bank in his briefcase. You'll have 24-hour banking capability. You'll have a team of people working with you. You'll have round-the-clock access for anything you need to get done. This is not the same world that everyone's been involved with before, but it's very easy. It's very friendly, very, very fun. It's
awesome.
going to be real fun. Let me read this.
Yes,
here,
keep
Deb.
going.
Let me find this. Okay. The receiving party, that's us, covenants and agrees to keep confidential the confidential information, and further covenants and agrees not to disclose or otherwise convey any portion of said confidential information to individuals either within or outside of the receiving party's organization, other than individuals within the receiving party's agreement who need to know said information and who agree to be held by the terms of this agreement. That we're talking about family members there, right? Your family members have to agree to keep quiet, and they will be named as part of this confidential agreement.
Right.
And the receiving party shall not reproduce or copy any information. He shall not disclose the confidential information to a third party without prior consent by the disclosing party. So let's say, for instance, you want to be able to go to another bank, and you've got to explain to that bank, I want to open an account here, and I'm going to transfer funds from this bank here. Well, they're coming from within the U.S. Well, how do I know those funds are not earned illegally? Where did that money come from? How did you earn that money? Part of the anti-money laundering laws require the banks to ask that information. Well, you have the ability here to go back to the disclosing party and say, I've got bank named XYZ that I've got to explain this to. Please produce a letter for me that I can use to explain where I got that money to them that is acceptable to you. And they'll do it. That's called a clean, clear, unblocked non legal funds, and that'll come directly from the bank to go to your other bank. So you don't have to worry about that. You have that opportunity per your agreement. It says so. Okay?
Great. Okay. Keep going. This is
Well,
great, Cynthia. Thank you.
okay. It says the receiving party recognizes that any violations of its obligations under the agreement may cause the disclosing party irreparable injury and damages. Consequently, the receiving party agrees that the disclosing party shall be entitled, in addition to all other remedies which may be available to the disclosing party, to injunctive and equitable relief to prevent any such violation. Okay, so basically what they're saying here is if you do something, I can stop you with an order to stop you. Now, this was not for a currency. I shouldn't be reading this, but basically it was for a business that said you can't share this information, and if you do, I'll bring a lawsuit against you. The bank's not going to bring a lawsuit against you, and their NDA doesn't say that. I don't want to confuse everybody by reading this.
Okay, that's fine. We're
Yeah.
really, and I didn't even want to. I had said to Cynthia, if we're going to get into the NDA, I didn't even want to read pages and pages,
Right.
because, but to presence even just a page of information, and even just to presence the NDA, and to presence the importance of your impeccability with your integrity, and that now I don't know, Cynthia. I have actually gotten other information a couple months ago in regards to the tracking. That there was a department that was set up in regards to specifically for watching where people either prior or once they have signed the NDA, if they are breaching that NDA in any way. Now, you're saying that you're hearing that there's no clawback. And I don't want to get into a whole fear conversation about it either at the same time. I really just want a presence that pay attention to everything that's written, take it seriously, and as you move into this new way of being, and this not being, but this new life, that there are things for you to really be present about that are going to change. And that's what we've just talked about in regards to the way that we do banking, the way that you do business, all sorts of opportunities. And Cynthia, the other thing too that you brought up when we were talking the other day is with all this money and the anxiety, and this is where we came up with the acronym of the PETS, is are you going to have stress that is an anxiety that you're just going to want to just get rid of the money and spend it on things and invest in things so that you don't have the stress of how to deal with it. Cynthia, do you want to talk about that?
Well, there's different reactions that people are going to have. One is fear. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something wrong that's not acceptable. I'm going to work with unscrupulous people. I'm going to be taken advantage of. All of these are fear-based ideals that I want to leave outside the door, Deb. And I'd like to have a visioning exercise to put everybody into the right energy mindset about how we can understand that all the help that has become available today is not going to all of a sudden disappear tomorrow, but in fact will be enhanced because of all the great people that haven't been a part of this. They want to be able to profit and share. See? And there's a lot of great people that have talents that we will find useful. So, but let's get some kind of vision going and recognize fear for what it is and call it for what it is, not necessary and not needed, and understand the energy of I deserve, it's all okay, I've got all the help in the world, there's nothing I can't learn.
Okay, let's come back to that.
That's possible.
Yep, I actually wanted to end the show with, I was already thinking that as well. So, and we hadn't talked about that. So, yes, let's do that towards the end of the show, which we have about 20 more minutes. We do have callers on the line that would like to ask some questions. So, Helen, can you go ahead and let's open up the Q&A on the conference line. And let's see. I have one person that's on the IM chat. Okay, so the Q&A is open. Okay, what is... I'm just asking... Somebody wanted to ask a question. They just went onto the conference line. All right, so... Helen, do you want to go ahead and... Now, okay, so if you are on the conference line, you can do a *6, and that will put you into the queue. And Helen, do you want to go ahead and get the first person?
Most definitely, Deb. Let's go with our first caller who's from Australia, and that is their phone number ending 711. Australian mobile number ending 711.
Hi guys, it's Adam here down in sunny WA.
Hi Adam.
Western Australia. Hi Deb, how are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm enjoying the day, beautiful scenery, lots of swans out on my estuary, and just lots of positive energy flowing around. Feels
Fabulous.
beautiful.
Fabulous. All right, what would you like to add?
Probably one ad was that I got from after a session I had with you about the feeling of the money energy and the disconnect that's happened to there, that really we are, our being is the source of all the money, and as we're infinite and unlimited, so too should be money. So that's where our paradigm got lost by the scarcity that's been created.
Okay, say that again. It's fabulous.
After one of our sessions, as all the energies are flowing, there was the thoughts that came to me that all the money that's created, because we create it with our signatures and with our buying into the system, all the energy of money is us. And we're unlimited and infinite beings.
Yes.
So therefore, the money that represents is unlimited and infinite. So the scarcity that's been put in there is from external sources. It's not real.
Absolutely.
But it becomes real by our energy buying into it.
Exactly.
Just what I was exactly. I suppose the question I'd like to ask is back to what I asked earlier, is about the Australian side of it, because if it's a global currency reset, it's a global type thing. It still seems to be American centered, and if there's any information there.
I personally, once we stopped doing the Australia bit back in November of 2014, we haven't engaged in anything yet for Australia. Cynthia, do you have any information outside of the States? For outside of the States?
Yeah, sorry, I'm back and forth to YouTube. Let me come back here to Skype. I was reading some of the notes there. That Australia was included in the exchange process right along with the U.S. You will have the opportunity to participate in the private exchange the same as they do in the U.S. Australia, Canada, North America. And I don't yet know. I don't yet know what that means for you in timing. If everything happens today, my understanding is that it's a watershed event globally, and banks all over will be globally set in 5 days. That's what I've been told. In 5 days, there will be a widespread, everyone will be aware of it, not just in private. So, but I don't know yet about, I understand, as I said, that Australia is included, but I don't yet know what that entails for you right now. with our exchange that's happening right now?
Originally, back in November 2014, when we were really involved in activating that here in Australia, we were being directed to HSBC and dealing with Hong Kong and all of that, but it's gone quiet. So, Adam, I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to reveal as this becomes more public.
Yeah,
I thought that would be the case.
Adam, stay tuned to Deb, because she's going to keep you informed about what's happening on in Australia. The internet, the World Wide Web makes it possible for us to know in a flash, a second. Everybody's going to know. There's no one that's not going to know. You're in tune. You're connected. You're going to know right away.
Agreed.
Yes, I'll be in touch with Deb, that's for sure. We're staying in touch, so gives me stuff to look at and look into. Thanks very much, Cynthia.
And Adam, thank you so much for what you just presenced also in regards to that we are the value. And I have a feeling that I'm actually going to respond to a question that's here in the IM chat and tie it into what you just said. My feeling is that as we bring the divine feminine back into balance on the planet, and we need to do this in a conscious way. Cynthia, you've been mentioning Kuan Yin. I've been bringing in Magdalene, the Magdalene energy, Christ consciousness, and we must do this in taking a stand in a conscious way. It's not gonna. I don't believe it is just going to happen on its own. That each of us is here to really bring into balance within ourselves. And then also, in your conversations, like what Cynthia was saying, is being calm and knowing that all is well, and that also in your actions, in your doingness, that you're unifying the people that are a part of your either soul circle or your family, and but and I say this as a caveat, that the presencing of your own well-being also must stay at the top of the priority list. We can no longer put other people ahead of our own well-being. I'm going to not get into all that right now, but that the value, money, that we are the value, that as the money begins to flow again, I do see that in the future that we are going to lose our attachment and giving the money the power and take it back to being an instrument, and that it is not that we create the value or our worth based on how much we have in our bank account or the toys we have or the materialistic or not materialistic, the material things that we have. Now, I also want to add to that, and that is what Cynthia was saying about the big house. I absolutely believe if your heart's desire is to have a big house, to have a big boat, to have an airplane or airplanes, if that's truly your heart's desire, go for it. And if that isn't coming from the place, but check yourself. Are you coming from a place of needing or wanting to have that because it represents out there to the world that's who you are? Then that's not the right place or the vibration to be in it. And that if you are wanting a large, because I know Scott and we've already got a couple of them picked out on different continents, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what we feel that we want to put out there to the world. It has everything to do with what we choose, how the lifestyle that we choose to live, and what our heart's desires are. So that I just also want to presence that to Cynthia again. Okay, so we haven't.
Can I say something, Deb?
Sure.
Can I say something? I'd love to hear the things you have to say. You are so amazing to me because you come up with at the right time. You have the right insight. You have the right things to say. When you were talking about Mary Magdalene, I would like to say what Mary Magdalene means to me today versus Kuan Yin, because I think it's important to understand the two and the separation between the two and how they relate to me today and in this discussion with you and I.
Fabulous.
And why do I talk about Kuan Yin and where does Mary Magdalene come in? Kuan Yin is about honor the self, receive, allow. And Mary Magdalene is about share and care for others and mother and love and teaching and being the benefactor for all. That's the difference between the two. They are two very distinct energies.
Fabulous. Yeah. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And Kuan Yin has very, very much been in the field in the last like 3 or 4 months too. So it's no accident that you're presencing that energy. And yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely perfect. And thank you for the compliments too, by the way.
Yeah.
Receive that with an open heart.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay, we have one caller that has been on the IM chat, and she's now over on the conference line. And Helen, if you can open up the phone line for, I think you know who I'm talking about. She has the prefix is 928, the area code, and the last 4 digits 3717. Talk about multitasking.
I've got that one dead ready to go.
Okay.
And here we go.
Thank you.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Do you want to say...
Great show.
Oh, thank you. Very good.
Okay, my question is...
Do you want to say your name?
I am Love.
Okay.
The question is, if a person is what they're calling a whale, do both of you recommend to take it all at once or to break it up into several? And then also, do you take it all to one bank, or is it wise to spread it out with different banks? These sorts of things for security reasons, and then just smart business decisions as well.
Cynthia, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I didn't hear that. It was breaking up for me. I'm sorry, Deb. Repeat that, please, love. I didn't hear. You were breaking up on my end.
Do you want me to paraphrase it? I am Love?
Did you get it, Deb?
Yeah,
if you got it,
did.
You can go.
Okay, what she's asking is if somebody considers themselves a quote-unquote whale, what is your recommendation in regards to the exchange, either exchanging all of it once, breaking it into pieces, or I guess I'm going to say staggering it, and or then also going off to another bank? Did I cover all of it?
Sounds good.
Okay. Did you get that, Cynthia?
Well, yeah, I did. And I'll tell you, from my perspective right now, I don't know what I don't know yet. I understand that the banks are going to have shelf corporations. They're going to be able to form trust for you. I understand that there are going to be some wonderful long-term annuities that you'll be able to get into. I understand that these things have to be explained once we're sitting. I personally have multiple corporations. I personally have got projects to invest in. I know exactly where I am going to be focused immediately in what has to be done, but I don't know what all is possible until I literally am sitting in the bank. We can't know until we get there.
I've been saying the same thing for years.
I appreciate the question. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate the question, but I don't know how to answer that until I've gone through that, and and then I know I'll know what I'll be able to talk about, and if I can, I'll come back and share. Yeah.
Awesome. And I am Love. I agree. I think there's so much that we're not going to really be able to make decisions about until we're in the moment. And that's why it's really important to be grounded and to be present when you're in that situation. And
let me say this, Deb. This is very important to understand. The family that owns the bank, Wells Fargo, own Chase. They own Citibank. The owners of these banks, I have no fear about my money disappearing. I have no fear of that.
Good.
I have no fear of losing anything.
Great.
I have no fear of exchanging everything into Wells Fargo. I have no fear of exchanging everything into Chase. I have no fear of exchanging part into Wells and part into Chase. I have no fear of that. I don't know yet what I don't know other than that.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Very encouraging.
Yeah.
All right. We only have about 7 or 8 minutes. Why don't the three of us, and Helen, actually the four of us, why don't we, and I'll lead, let's do a visualization and end the show off, end the show with a visualization, a verbal kind of guided thing. And I won't be surprised if I've got activation energy that comes through when we do this. And the intention of this is for each of us to add into the energy of intention and creation for our post GCR, for the new earth, and even for the grace and ease, for the exchange process, and the world that we now have a much more level playing field to create for the betterment of humanity. You guys each into that, Helen?
For sure, Deb, for sure.
Okay. So, Scott, we can have, you'll switch off everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can do.
Do you want to, just so we don't, I'll go ahead and start it, and then do you want to end it so we bookend?
Yeah, I'll jump in where I think is appropriate.
Okay. And then, so Helen, would you go second and Cynthia third?
Perfect.
Fabulous. All right. So if you are there and as part of the listening audience, then here we go. This is more of the experiential and transformational media aspect of this. I'd encourage you to be comfortable, to be present, close your eyes, and take a couple of deep breaths. Get present with your heart chakra, your heart's desires. And as we come through the vibration of Mother, Father God, Goddess, Creator, Creatress, Source of all that is, and as we acknowledge ourselves in this timeline of 133, in this time-space continuum, that we also presence, I am love, I am light, I am gratitude, I am Creator, I am that I am. And that as we surround this entire broadcast and yourselves with a golden sphere of light, we're igniting it with the great central sun. And as we presence that this is intended to be the resurrection of light, the Magdalene, the Christ consciousness, the divine feminine, the balance with the divine masculine, and that here on this Easter 2016, that the resurrection of light that comes is to come through each of us as the purity of a love and light and gratitude and the Christ consciousness, and that with this GCR at hand that is also underway now, that we are presencing everything to be in the highest divine good and highest divine truth for the betterment of humanity, Mother Earth, Father Sky, and for the all of the beings, the sentient beings that are living within the earth as well as the outer surface. And that anything that's not in alignment with that, we're calling for it to be unbound, uncreated, unmanifest, and that we are moving now into a timeline and a time-space continuum that as we each presence ourselves in the highest divine good, that we are also calling into and invoking into the presence of this experience, the earth and the experiences that we have for the activation of this new earth, for the anchoring of the financial institutions, and for the money, the instruments of money, all of it to be aligned as we also transmute individually anything and everything that's not aligned with our hearts of gold, and that the presence of our own loving thyself and our own well-being is now also very much a priority as we move into this new earth reality, and that we're presencing the creation energies and everything that is to align through this. And if we can now get into the details of what we see of this new earth, whatever resonates.
Okay, if I could add in there, one of the elements I'd like for people to visualize or presence is the distinction between the previous monetary systems, which have always lived in the future as promises of energy that has not yet been created or expended, and the transition to a system whereby the representations of money actually have been created, have been expended. That is a system which has its own natural limits. It means that for value to exist, it means that people need to create it, expend that energy. It's not just a whimsical sit on your ass and promise your life away. It is an actual system that has the natural limits, or unlimited, based on what you do, what you choose, what you create. And I wanted to draw that distinction between the previous money systems based on promises to pay versus a system based on that actual value, unlimited as it may be, as we move forward.
Helen, do you want to jump in?
Oh, yes, I'd like to continue on with that and to say also that as part of all of this change is the understanding and realizing that we are also unlimited, and now that the cap is off, we can call in and tap into our highest divine good and truth, our highest dimensional beings that are working with us, and pull those energies and our higher self into this being to work through us as us. And that as part of that, we begin to realize our heart's desires through speaking and knowing that that is how it actually works, and that the trust in ourselves grows extremely quickly now, and the trust in ourselves that we can and do tap into our highest divine good and truth. As I wish.
As you wish.
As you wish.
Cynthia?
Deb, Scott, Helen, God is standing behind us with two hands under our arms, lifting our hands up, 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 and over, open, wide, wide, open. One hand is grasped by Saint Germain. One hand is grasped by Jesus. Our beautiful Kuan Yin and Mary Magdalene are standing and looking at us, smiling, nodding their heads. Yes, yes. We're all together. We hold each other up. We lift each other up. We carry each other gracefully. Grace is our call. Grace is our word. Grace is our name. Grace is who we are. Peace is where we live. We're in the land of peace. We're in the land of plenty. We are hope. We are love. We are abiding. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
And as we each step forward and take a stand, being the conduits of that love, light, gratitude, creation, that we see this planet in a transformation that is seeing the water clean, all of the food being cleaned up, all of the things that have been done as an imbalance, as an inversion, upside down, just seeing everything rewrited, and that the education as well as the available knowledge and information is all brought forth with grace and ease, as well as all and any of the atrocities and deception that have been under the waterline, just all of that being brought forth for humanity to heal and to move into this new paradigm. And that all of it, and we're holding that space with our frequencies of love and frequencies of compassion, and that we have taken the stand, that we know that we are the ones that we have waited for. We are the ones stepping forward as the new global leaders, and that everything is being brought into alignment, even all the different events that occur, seeing the silver lining, seeing the things that are of the highest good that are hidden in those events, like what Melchizedek said in the heart chakra activation, the Hershey kiss that is behind that aluminum foil, the wrapping of that Hershey kiss, that these events occur, and that we hold, and with each breath that we bring forth the glory of God as God beings of light, and that Mother Earth and Father Sky are rejoined in the wholeness, and that the lack and limitation of separation and all of the generation of lack that we have experienced is no longer. It is all transmuted and aligned now in the abundance and prosperity of all resources, including and especially the abundance of love, peace, hope, generosity of heart. And so it is.
And so it is.
Okay, thank you all for participating. Thank you, Cynthia, for being here as our guest. Thank you, Helen, for being at the conference line and also the IM chat. Scott, thank you for your engineering and your heart that you bring forth, and all the support that you have provided in order for us to actually be able to do this. And thank you for all of the listening audience, the participating audience. Every element of your engagement of energy is not wasted. All of that energy is being activated in this unified field. And this timeline of 133 for the betterment of humanity. And remember that we are in this together, and that the most important relationship, that first relationship, is a loving relationship with yourself. Cynthia, did you want to add anything else?
Oh, you're so beautiful. Thank you, Deb. Thank you for all that you bring for the community. Thank you, Deb, for opening everyone up to the importance of self-love, honoring yourself, and keeping your word. Beautiful.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste, sister. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Much love to everybody, and please watch the website so that you know when we'll be back again live. And it's an exciting time. I'm really happy that we were able to do this show before we sign our NDAs. Much love, everyone. Hi, welcome back. It's been a while. Welcome to Wake Up Shift is Happening and the series around the GCR. We're live. This is our first live show and call-in show for the call-in show we haven't done for a month, and doing an ITV show we haven't done since Christmas. And isn't that interesting that today is Easter in the Northern Hemisphere? So it's March 27th there, 2016 in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's March 28th here in the Southern Hemisphere. So happy Easter. And today we have an awesome show. Thank you for your patience. Also, while we've been off the air for the last month, Scott and I have been in the midst of a major relocation in Australia, and it was a lot of work. I'm sure many of you have moved around and you know. I actually, unfortunately, am a professional mover, so even this one was a little bit challenging. So we have our awesome studio set up, and I'm going to introduce Scott to you and ask him to go on camera here in just a moment as well. So thank you again for all of your support, your emails, and asking where we're at and where we've been and whatnot. And we're happy to be back, although it might be short-lived for the next couple weeks. We shall see. We're living in the moment. We are being very present with what is happening in the world right now. So before I even get into that any further, I'd like Scott to actually introduce himself and turn the camera on. So you guys, well, you tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, stand by one sec.
Okay. Now, today's show is why resurrection of the Magdalene divine feminine energy is imperative for the GCR and the Great Shift. You ready to say hi?
Yes. Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. So, I'm Scott Bartle, and thank you for joining us today. Hopefully, we managed to get the technology going as we've shifted location and getting everything reconfigured here. So, it's been a little bit of juggling around, and anyway, we're back on the road, so I'll hand you back over to Deb there.
And I also would just like to acknowledge Scott. I did this in the newsletter as well, for those of you that get the newsletter, that he has done such an amazing job in creating a state-of-the-art with not a lot of funding, a state-of-the-art live stream studio that we now have the capability of doing call-ins, and you guys have a choice now. So if you want to join us on the YouTube that has come into play at this point, the interference, the infiltration, the charms and the incantations and the ceremonies that have done behind the scenes that have abrogated our free will. Most of us are not even having a relationship right now with our free will, only basically in the construct of this enslavement matrix. So a big part of the intention of our creation and anchoring this unified field, this New Earth unified field, is to create and to manifest this contingency plan for supporting the restoration of humanity. Now, let me just give you the promo code for that before I move on. So the promo code for the Easter special for the 33% off is Easter with a capital E. And Helen, I also want to introduce, is live with us as well. She is there on the conference line, and she's also there on the instant message chat with you guys on YouTube. So I just want to also say, introduce Helen and say thank you for being there, and let you guys know to engage with her. Now, the other thing is that we have had the community, the New Earth community. We paused the membership for the last, I think, 6 weeks because we had such a huge influx of people, and we didn't have our system really set as much as we really wanted to. today we just are opening up that membership again. One of the things that I want to be very clear about this New Earth community membership, or the New Earth community itself, is that this is not a if you're thinking about engaging with us in the community, then I want you to be really clear that this is not the this is not like just a chat forum, that it is a there's a very precise intention for what this community is for the New Earth, that we are building a pattern of energy as the foundation that involves very clear integrity, love, vulnerability, trust, honoring, and communication that is empowering. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So, and your engagement in that community is what is building this unified field. So it's important for you to understand that if you do think that you resonate with coming and being a part of that, the engagement part is what you are contributing to build this New Earth reality, this unified field for this New Earth. So I want to say thank you to both Scott and Helen, because we've all worked very diligently to get that membership up and going. And one of the most important aspects of it before you even become a member is the signing off, the understanding and signing off on the integrity and confidentiality agreement that is an intricate part of us building and rebuilding a reality that is based in integrity and honoring our word. And so my guest today and I are going to be talking about that because of the importance of the impeccability of your word. Now, is there any more housekeeping? Scott, is there anything more?
The only thing I was going to say was we might be able to hear from Helen if she speaks up there. I think we've got her unmuted, so if Helen's available to say hi.
Oh, that would be awesome. Asking you to be very present and cognizant with the information that's coming forth. And if you're not driving, that you go ahead and get comfortable, and that you even close your eyes if you choose, and take a couple of deep breaths. And presence in your heart, your true, the essence of who you are as a being of light at the soul and the core level. And that you even presence your heart's desire, not only for yourself at this time on the planet, but even for the betterment of humanity, and even as it might pertain to the resurrection of light, love, and even the creation energies for us here on the planet. And that as you open your heart, and I also want to preface one thing, is that everything that is brought forth, I'm asking you to engage with your relationship with your free will. And if anything doesn't feel right, if anything doesn't sound right, I want you to engage with your free will, and even just right now call in your higher self, and to call forth and invoke that everything that you are to hear and to engage with is in your highest divine good and highest divine truth. And if you're not living your life every day invoking that at the very least, then I'm going to encourage you to start. Because one of the challenges that we're in at this time is that we've lost our relationship with the sacredness of our spirituality, and not even just lost it, but it's kind of been hijacked in many ways. And I'm going to encourage you to also regain that relationship with your free will. And that goes in communications, relationships, and your choices that you're making. Now, as you presence in your heart the essence of the true essence of yourself, as well as the divine, being of light that you are. That the message in regards to the divine feminine that I am being asked to bring into and to weave into the entire context of this show is that there has been a very effective dismantling of the divine feminine on this planet. And it has been, it's part of the designed assault against humanity's awakening. The reason, I'm going to give you the reason, one of the main reasons that has been given to me recently. And it has to do with the energy and the essence of the divine feminine. The Magdalene divine feminine is that it is the spark, it is the ignition of creation, that it is the co-creating energy with the divine masculine, the Christ consciousness, that is here and available to us as God beings of light to create. And that with the dismantling of not only the gender of the feminine, but the divine feminine, even in the men, is what is a major out of balance, and it's that imbalance is one of the ways that the controllers of this enslavement matrix have been able to keep us in control. Without that balance, we cannot create, we cannot ignite the divine blueprint that we are meant to ignite and to expand our consciousness and our abilities. I think we didn't give her a heads up about it. So
I have kind of dropped her on the spot there, but yeah. I'll leave it open and see if she chimes in. Otherwise, I'm all good.
All right, very good. So let me just look at my list. Okay, I think it's good. We're good. Okay, so let's get into the show here. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to be very present, this is experiential transformational media.
Hi there. Sorry.
There she is.
Two microphones out thinking, hi, how are you all?
That's Helen. Hi, Helen.
Hi there, Deb and Scott, and just welcome to everybody on the call today. I'm thrilled to be here and looking forward to a lively show as always. All right, back on mute. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We put you on the spot a little bit. Okay, so back to the being present. This is experiential transformational media. We are really anchoring this as a genre of media. And for those of you that know my background, there's a couple different things that come into play at this point. One is my background as a producer in the entertainment industry for almost 2 decades. And then the other aspect is becoming telepathic. Actually not becoming, having that aspect of what is supposed to be normal for all of us being opened up like a tin can quite a long time ago, and having the veil pulled back where I was started in 2010, actually 2009, really getting significant information and details that began a strategy, a multidimensional strategy with the Ascended Masters and the Company of Heaven, the Angelic Realm, and the other Galactic Federation, the beings of light that are really, really wanting for humanity to move from the place of deprivation, lack, limitation, and the place that we've been in, this really dark space that we've been in for quite some time, in order to come into alignment with the rest of the universal beings of light, and those that refer to, many people refer to that as like the galactics and whatnot. And so You probably have heard me talk about my communications with Saint Germain and Ashtar, JFK. Many of you know that I'm in communication. He is part of the contingency plan and the strategy that we're working with, and there's others, and I rarely in public have done any channeling, and I'm not going to probably do that today, but I will tell you that in the last 48, 72 hours that Mary Magdalene has stepped forward and has been providing me with a lot of details and communication, along with Yeshua, and that I ended up changing the name and the title of the show based on those communications. That's why today's show is being referenced as the resurrection of the Magdalene divine feminine energy is imperative for the GCR and post GCR, as well as the Great Shift. So what I just want to put forth before I do an introduction of our guest here, is I want a presence on a massive channel, which is the YouTube live event, or you can join us on the conference line. And so the access of engagement. So here's some housekeeping before we even get further into the show. One is the website is wakingupwithdeb.com. And if you can access everything from the website. The other thing is for the access for the shows, for this and for the future shows when we do them as a live ITV show, you can be part of the instant message chat in the YouTube live event portion, or you can come on to, I guess I should say, or you can utilize the conference line to call in when we open up the call lines. Now, today we have a special guest, which I'll be introducing in just a little while. Some of you are familiar with her, know her, or aware of her. And but first we're going to talk a bit more about the subject that has been brought forth, especially in the last couple of days. And I also want to let you guys know that we don't usually do much promotion or marketing of our tools. And I keep saying that I'm going to change that, and we haven't really. So we just decided a couple of days ago to offer a special Easter promo for our Master Clearing Your Field and Activation tool, experiential tool. If you're not familiar with what these tools are, and as of right now we only have the one set of tools available, which is the Master Clearing Your Field, or the bundle of Clearing Your Field morning, noon, and then the emergency break class. So which Scott did as an emergency for toxic relationships, conversations, experiences, etc. What is important about these experiential tools is that it gives you the verbiage, the commands, the experience of the energy of being in your activated and empowered I am vibration, and it gives you the activation, beginning activations, not only of your I am presence, but also with this unified field. So we have been working very diligently over the last couple of years, and we have had a breakthrough just in the last couple months with this New Earth unified field. We've been able to stabilize it. We are working now in new territory energetically. We're very excited about the things that are being revealed, not only in the microcosm of our life, but also in the macrocosm of the world. So we have an Easter special for the next week, and it's a 33% off just of the Master Clearing Your Field tool and activation. And I just want to let you guys know that it is such a powerful tool. If you're not working with it yet, I really encourage you to, because the testimonials that we get back are really quite profound. People are experiencing changes oftentimes instantaneously, like for the first 24 hours. The other thing is that we're going to be doing a new one the one that you'll be receiving, should you choose to engage with it, is from November 2014. And Scott and I, the energy, we've up-leveled, the energies have shifted so much. We're going to do a new one. And anyone that has purchased that tool, like in the last 4 or 5 months, we're just going to gift it to you from the previous purchase. Our intention here is to support humanity to transcend this enslavement matrix, to transcend this control mechanism and the locked down, suspended animation